Now, some scientists, over the years, have postulated that this physical world only exists when it's observed. I agree. Why? Because of this. When you put a computer disk into a computer, it does not read all the information on the disk at the same time. It reads that part that it is observing, whatever that laser's hitting at the time. All the other stuff is still in information form. It's not been transferred to the screen as pictures, etc. And we do the same. When we observe, decode, then we bring it into this reality. But without that, this is just the base vibrational metaphysical universe, which is the basis of all of it. Then no light gets in the brain. So how do we see light? How can I look at that light and see it? No light ever gets in the brain because the brain's decoding information into that light. So when you see things like in the Matrix movies, those lines like, there is no spoon. It is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself. Exactly. Because the only place the spoon exists in physical form is in here. And you bend it by bending the way you decode reality. Miracles are simply overcoming the programming of what's possible and not possible. You know, we are, of course, programmed to believe that when you walk through fire, you get burned. And if you walk through fire or hot coals with that belief, that decoding state, you'll burn your bloody feet. But as so many people have shown, if you can go into another state of consciousness and override that, you can walk across hot coals and not feel a thing. Why? Because an illusion cannot burn an illusion unless you believe it can. There are no miracles. There's just understanding how to manifest all possibility. And that understanding comes from the fact that we acknowledge, we understand that we are consciousness. Disembodied, no form awareness, having an experience. Like a Central American shaman said, we are perceivers, we are awareness, we are not objects, we have no solidity. We, or rather our reason, forget this, and thus we entrap the totality of ourselves in a vicious circle from which we rarely emerge in our lifetime. And that vicious circle is what the control system wants to keep us in, because then we're controllable. If we understand who we really are, what we really are, it's impossible to control by a bunch of control freaks. The body is the way our awareness experiences this reality. If I want to interact with this reality, which is a frequency range, I have to have an outer shell, we all do, that vibrates within this frequency range, because our consciousness is vibrating much too quickly. It's like radio 1 trying to make connection to radio 2. They're on different wavelengths. It's never going to happen. So we take on this outer projection we call a body, and therefore I can pick this up and interact with this reality. What the control system wants us to do is to believe that that projection, that vehicle to experience this reality is who we are, because then we go from, I am all that is, has been, and ever will be, I'm Charlie Smith, I'm Ethel Jones, I've got no power. It's the whole bottom line of it. We say I'm going on the internet. We don't go on the internet. The computer goes on the internet, and we observe the internet through the computer. And our mind-body is the vehicle to experience this reality. That goes on the internet. Consciousness, the real us, observes, just like the World Wide Web, observes the internet through that vehicle. And like I say, the idea is to get us to think that we're that and not that. I had a vision when I was sitting in the bath a couple of years ago now, maybe. And I've asked my great friend, the brilliant Neil Haig, to knock this up from what I saw. I'm sitting in my bath, and I saw billowing energy, yellow, kind of white-yellow energy. And I took that immediately to be consciousness. Then an eye appeared in the energy, the consciousness, and then a telescope appeared. At the end of the telescope was this reality, the Earth, the solar system, whatever. The last movement was for the telescope to morph into a human body. And that was so profound in the sense of that's how it works. And because of the limitations of this focus, we see ourselves, if we don't stay in contact with that, in very limited terms. Death is just putting the telescope down. Well, I've had enough of that. Earth's a shitty place. Hello, all right, I'm back. You never went away. The computer's here. We are observing through the computer. I want to make the difference, because this will go through the day, the difference between consciousness and what I call the mind. Everything is the same energy in the end, because it's just one unified awareness I call the infinite. But it takes different expressions. Consciousness is the ocean. All possibility, all that is, all awareness. And the mind is like a frozen, denser expression of that, and therefore has great, great limitations in terms of awareness and perception compared with that. And one of the reasons is to interact with this reality, which is much denser than consciousness, we have to have a denser conduit, which we call the mind-body. Therefore, it has to be more limited than consciousness itself. And I've only taken psychoactive drugs once, well, 1.5 times. The main one was in Peru when I took something called ayahuasca in 2003. And for 5 hours, I had this voice, as loud as mine is now, took female form, talking to me about the illusory nature of reality. And when I came back out to Britain, it happened in the Brazilian rainforest, I started following up names, dates, places type information, what I was told. And it was extraordinarily accurate. It's amazing that mainstream science has sussed most of this, but doesn't realize it as, because all the disciplines don't talk to each other. When you connect the dots, you realize they've already established that this is an illusion. But that doesn't go down well because it's too close to the truth. And how I experienced that state beyond this world, beyond vibration, was as stillness and silence. And that's what all possibility is, the stillness and the silence. There was a great line that voice said to me when it was explaining the nature of reality. It said, if it vibrates, it's illusion. If it vibrates, it's illusion, because our core level is stillness and silence. I experienced that. Amazing feeling. There are no negative emotions, there's no fear, there's no worry about not making the rent and all this stuff. They've all gone in that realm. That's where they want us, and that's where they've got so many people, the vast majority, in that state, in a false identity. The world looks so solid, I grant you, but it can't be. It can't be, even though it seems to be. And if you bang your head on the wall, again, like walking through the fire, believing you're going to get burned, bang, you'll bang your head. But it can't be, because the world is made up of atoms, and as quantum physicists have shown, atoms have no solidity. How can something which is basically empty space make up a solid world? It can't. The reason it appears to is because the information in the waveform metaphysical universe is decoded through into apparent solidity. Again, it's just the way we decode reality that gives it form. We take information from a disk, we put it on the screen, it seems to have time-space solidity. But it doesn't. It's just information being read, and that's exactly what's happening to us. The reason it appears solid and it appears three-dimensional is because we live in a holographic world. We see holograms, you can buy them in the shops, where they appear to be three-dimensional, but actually they're not. It's just the illusion of the way they're made. And how they make them is they have a laser, part of it goes across the object they want to photograph, another part goes directly onto a photographic plate, and then the part that's passed across the object goes onto that plate, and they collide. Those two parts of the laser collide, and they create, here we go, a waveform. We call it in holographics an interference pattern. It's like dropping two pebbles in a pond, and then the waves they create collide, and that is a waveform representation of where those pebbles fell, how heavy they were, how high they fell from, etc., how big they were, etc. And this is what the waveform, again, looks like on a holographic print. It's information. It seems to be nothing. It looks like a fingerprint, appropriately, actually. But what is it? But you fire a laser at that, and suddenly a three-dimensional, and the best of them, a very solid-looking image comes up. This is we create our reality. It's holographic. This guy is in an Australian city, I think it was Melbourne, but he was projected as a hologram onto a stage in Adelaide. This is one that CNN did. So we are creating a holographic version of this information, just like a hologram does, in our heads. That's where it comes from. It's this construct. And how funny, I've been saying this for years, and then I come across this very, very mainstream New Scientist magazine in January now 2009, and its front page, you are a hologram projected from the edge of the universe.
Corporations are people, my friend. GreenZilla, hopping fences like a Palestinian. Predator drones will your family to oblivion. Dimensional doorways, my rap style comes through this. Trapped in the knowledge and the hologram of Judas. Outcast and vicious, terror plot to witness. False flag attacks, leave him sleeping with the fishes. And Birdie Murdoch, coming with the sod off. No longer in interest when that money supply's cut off. And it seems that my composition is a holographic apparition that came from superstition. And I don't know my religion, but if I had to guess, I'd say it's all science fiction. And if I was immune to you, you'd see through me and see through the aberration of what I knew. But nothing is sacred, and in the city of vaulted secrets, you'll never make it.
Life's an illusion,
a digital transmission of waveforms suspended in remission. The mind is a computer of dedication. The only way out is devastation.
life's an illusion,
Corporations are people, my friend.
life's an illusion.
Some say actions act more than words, but right now my words wanna murder. Like in the back of a psycho's head, he thinks he wants to hurt her. From the amount of ink I put to paper, I think it deserves a burger. But my hunger is escalating to the point where the pain's like the heart of a raver, bubbling like a fucking raid. Don't make me start a raid, cause that means you're the one who helped me ignite it. So for you to know, I think I ride it, I flow it, and you know I'm rowing this boat at 40 knots. You think you can catch up? I think not, because stereo speakers and headphones making you don't feel like it's right at home, free to roam. My flow and style is what I invented. Don't ask, cause it will never be rented. If I have to, I will fence it. Grab my gun with my left hand, aim it at your face as my gun goes bland. The tricky illusion is pollution. They have hidden what they're doing as I revealed what I'm
Life's
pursuing.
an illusion,
A digital transmission of waveforms suspended in remission. The mind is a computer of dedication. The only way out is devastation.
life's an illusion,
Corporations are people, my friend.
life's an illusion.